Thank you for joining me then this morning. My name is Katie, I'm a midwife from UHCW, and I'm going to talk you through some antenatal information. Okay, so this is the Express Antenatal class. So it's basically a condensed class. Now there is lots of information. I basically picked out the bits that I think are the most important and the things that people tend to ask generally the most about, and like I said, condensed it into an hour and a half. So please, if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. You've also got my email address. If you want to contact me directly, that's absolutely fine. No problem with that whatsoever. So the idea behind antenatal education is basically to give you guys as much information as possible, or to assist you in obtaining information, and to hopefully help you feel more empowered moving forward with your pregnancy, and then obviously in labour and in birth, and then what happens afterwards. We want you to feel confident with your choices. And we know that actually by giving you this information now whilst you are pregnant helps you then to prepare for the future. Okay, so thinking about things like your birthing plans, etc. We'll talk about those shortly. This hopefully will all help to make some decisions, or help you make some decisions, so you can actually then implement that and the things that we talk about when you actually are in labour yourselves. Okay, like I said, any questions, do feel free to ask away. So I'm going to show you this video to begin with. Now I have just sent you an email. The email has got a document attached to it, which has basically got a load of hyperlinks. The hyperlinks will all take you to the videos that I'm going to show you. Now the one email that I've sent you, the hyperlinks are the videos that I use on the two-part course, but I use the majority of them, to be honest, throughout this session as well. So you might find if you do look at the document, there's more videos on there, and that's just because usually when I do the two-part session, obviously there'll be a few more videos in those classes. So they're all of the videos, sorry, all together in that one document. So in Coventry then, we have around 6,000 births a year, so that is a lot of babies. We are one of the biggest units in the West Midlands, alongside Heartlands over in Birmingham, and we are a level 3 unit. What that means is that we have a really skilled and dedicated neonatal team, neonatal department, which means that basically we get a lot of transfers from out of area. We take all the premature babies, we take all the complex cases from around the country, and then obviously we have our normal cases as well. So yeah, quite a busy unit. Now I myself have had 3 children. I had 2 of them in Coventry, I had 1 over in another unit, and obviously I work as a midwife in Coventry. So I can fully understand how it feels walking into the department as an expectant parent as well as a professional. And I myself, I found it quite intimidating. You know, it's a very large unit. There's lots of people around. There's lots of different areas within the department. And it can be, like I said, a little bit intimidating. It can make you feel a little bit anxious, okay? So what we like to do is just show you around the unit. I'm going to show you this video. This is a virtual tour. And again, hopefully this will help you feel more familiar with the areas that you might come across within the department. So when it's your turn to come in, hopefully it helps you feel a little bit more familiar, a little bit more at ease, and then hopefully that will make for a more positive experience. So here is the virtual tour. There we go. So that is our department. Like I said, it is quite large, but if you do get lost, just look up. It's signposted, usually, hopefully everywhere. And if you're still lost, then just ask anybody wearing a uniform. We will always get you where you need to be. So don't panic too much about that. Okay. So the role of the birthing partner then, for those of you that don't know who or what the birthing partner is, it is the person who is with you when you come to have your baby, okay? In Coventry on labour ward, you can have two birthing partners. All that we ask is that they remain the same two people. You can't swap and change them, okay? So for the majority of our ladies, they will have their partner. For those that don't have a partner, they may have their mum, their friend, their sister. It is really a personal choice. Who is important to you and who can fulfil this role? If you are birthing your baby on Lucina, our low risk birthing unit, you can technically have as many people as you want, but what we ask is that just the same as a home birth, you're sensible about that. The rooms themselves aren't the biggest, and maternity can be quite a fast-paced environment. Things can change quite quickly. And although we'll do our best to keep to your birthing plan as long as mum and baby is safe, if we do need to deviate from that, it might be that the doctors or nurses, midwives need to get to mum or baby quite quickly. If you've got like 10, 15 people crowded around your bed, it can make it quite difficult to do that, okay? Time really is of the essence and every second does count. So what we ask is that, yes, you can have technically more than two people if you choose to birth your baby on Lucina, but actually just be mindful and be sensible about it. And actually, if this is your first baby, you might not know how you're going to react when you're in labour. What might seem like a great idea now, when you're actually in labour, you might think, actually, I don't really want all these people here. Can everyone just go away? Now, if that is the case, you are well within your rights to ask the people to leave. That is fluid. You are allowed to ask people to leave if you want them to, but ideally, just try and sort of be mindful when thinking about your birthing partners and who you're going to have and how many people you're going to have. Now, when we say about keeping the two people the same on labour ward, obviously that's to keep you guys safe, keeps the staff safe, and also helps to keep everybody else on labour ward safe. The maternity department is behind locked doors, so people aren't allowed just to come walk in willy-nilly, and they have to be checked in, and we have to make sure that everybody in the department knows who is there, who's visiting. We are quite stringent on that. So that's why we ask for the two people on labour ward only. And also, like I said, it can be quite a fast-paced environment. It's not always appropriate to have loads of people around. So that's what we would recommend with regards to amount and who you have as birthing partners. But like I said, essentially it is your choice, and everybody is different, and it's all about working out what your priorities are, okay? Now, when we think about the birthing partner and we speak to those 6,000 women, because we do talk to you guys, as you can imagine, these, what you can see on the screen, are the attributes or characteristics that tend to come up the most. So ideally, we want somebody who is flexible. Now, we're not talking about gymnastics, doing the cartwheels across the labour ward. We're actually talking about with their time, okay? We want your birthing partner to essentially be on call for you, especially as we approach your due date. Now, when you go into labour, if it happens spontaneously or naturally, it can happen really at any moment. So phone on loud, like I said, on call would be the best thing. So let your bosses know that your partners are about to have a baby. Let your friends know. If it's a family member, obviously make sure everybody is aware. My due date is coming up. So please be aware. Keep your phone on loud, night and day, just in case I need you to be at my bedside. Okay, make sure they are aware. We don't want ideally any work trips booked within the few weeks of your due date. We don't want them away on lads' holidays or trips like that. Just here and focused, ready to go. Okay. Ideally, we want somebody who's able to listen to you. Somebody who is confident, encourages you, motivates you, and can advocate for you. What we mean by that is we want them to be able to openly communicate with us, okay? Now, when you meet your midwife and you are in labour, you will be admitted into your own private room and you will have one-to-one care. So one midwife will be there taking care of you. Obviously, if our shift patterns or times change within the time you are in labour, you may have another midwife come in or another member of staff come in to commence that one-to-one care, but it should just be one midwife at any given time, okay? But essentially, when we first meet you, we are all strangers. By the time your baby is born, we will be best friends, but initially we are all strangers. So we only will know as much as what you choose to let us in on, okay? So when thinking about your birthing plans, thinking about your birthing choices, we want you guys to communicate those with us. Your birthing partner needs to also be aware of those wishes, your hard do's, your hard don'ts, what's on your birthing choices and on your birthing plan, so they can communicate those wishes with us, okay? So we are all then going to be on the same page. Now, when thinking about your birthing plans, like I said, it is quite a good idea to involve your birthing partners when writing your birthing plans. If you want to write that yourself and then actually relay that information to them, that's also absolutely fine, whatever works for you. But we want your birthing partner to be aware of what is on your birthing plan, okay? Women, when they are in labour, a lot of the time they will sort of be so focused on what they're doing, they go into like their own zone. And sometimes the women in labour, they don't hear the midwives talking to them. And sometimes you guys don't want us talking to you. Sometimes you're just so focused on what you're doing, everything else is just blocked out. That is quite normal. If that happens, you know, it's not unexpected. Don't worry about us thinking you're being rude or anything like that. We don't think those things at all. We do know that this happens. And it's quite a normal process during the labour process. But in those instances, we would like your birthing partner to then be forthcoming with information, okay? Which is why I'm talking about good communication. Please don't be scared to talk to the midwives. Don't be scared to talk to the members of the team who you might come into contact with. We are all on the same page. We are there to look after you and your baby and keep you guys safe, okay? Like I said, do let us know what's in your birthing plan. Write these things down. If you haven't thought about a birthing plan, then you could just Google it and it will come up with NHS birthing plan, and it will basically give you a template. It's going to help guide the birthing conversation, and it will help you do some research as well. It will give you topics that you might not have even thought about, and you can then go off and do some research on the different topics, and then fill in this chart. Basically, we want you to physically bring your birthing partner, bring them in with you, obviously, but bring in your birthing plan with you, hand that over to the midwife, and then when you are admitted, we will talk you through the birthing plan. We will go through it together and answer any questions that you might have, okay? Now, like I said, we will do our best to stick to that birthing plan, but sometimes babies, they dictate what happens, really. Sometimes we might have to move away from the birthing plan slightly. So we want your birthing partner to be prepared for that as well. Prepare for every eventuality. Think about your hard do's, think about your hard don'ts. Think about what we can control, think about what we really can't control. So things we can control in labour are basically sort of like what's going to happen in that room in terms of like the atmosphere and what you bring in with you and making that room comfortable for yourself. Now, in the video, you probably saw on labour ward, the rooms themselves, they are quite clinical, they're quite sterile, they're white. You know, we are in a hospital at the end of the day, and they have to be sterile. But they're not the most welcoming, let's be honest. And you're going to be spending a bit of time in there when you're in labour. So actually, what we would want you to do and would encourage you to do is bring in your little creature comforts from home. Dot these things around the room to make it a little bit more comfortable for yourselves, okay? So if you have a blanket or a comforter, bring that in with you, okay? If you have a pregnancy pillow or just a general pillow that you like, absolutely, you're welcome to bring that in with you. If you listen to a podcast or an audiobook or you want to make a playlist, absolutely, bring in the smart device with those things downloaded onto there. We have stereos in all of our rooms. We can connect your smart devices using the Bluetooth, and then you can make use of the stereos that we have. We have them in all of our rooms on labour ward. We have them on Lucina, and we also have stereos in theatre as well. So if there is a specific song you would like your baby to be born to, and you do end up in theatre, just let us know, and we can make sure that is playing for you. Again, as long as it's safe for mum and for baby, okay? We have projectors on labour ward that we can plug in. They then project stars onto the ceiling. We will dim the lights down and just make it like a nice sort of calming environment for yourselves. Also, if you're thinking about things like hypnobirthing, the music for that, download that. Again, use the stereos. It will help you feel more relaxed and more at home. Make that room, like I said, like a home from home if you can. Obviously, don't bring in like the kitchen sink, okay? They're not the biggest rooms. I mean, they're not too bad. But if you do want to bring in those things that can help you feel more relaxed, you are more than welcome to do so. If you have other children, bring in photos of them. We can't hammer things onto the wall, obviously. But if you want to bring in like photo frames, stuff like that, you're more than welcome to do so. Like I said, we want you to feel relaxed in the room. It's going to help you feel more comfortable, help you feel more confident. And having those little bits from home can help you settle into that room a bit better. And hopefully, again, will then make for a more positive experience, okay? Little things that we can do to help you feel more at home, okay? Get your birthing partner involved with that. Get them to be a bit of a DJ. You know, they can be in charge of the music, you know, things like that. We want your birthing partner to provide you with emotional, practical and physical support. So labour is called labour for a reason. Now, it is labour intensive. I don't know if you watch things like One Born Every Minute, or you might watch like 24 Hours in A&E and people could turn up and have babies. I just want to point out, it's not really like that. Those things are really edited for entertainment purposes. We want you to be realistic. We want you to be open-minded, and we want you just to trust yourselves. Labour is a bit of a journey, it is a process, and it does take some time. So please don't be disheartened if it is taking some time. It is normal. Everybody is different, and we can't predict what's going to happen. We have to sort of just let you guys lead the way. So listen to your body, trust your body, work with the team, and we will navigate the whole labour and birth process together. And at the end of that, you get a lovely, lovely little baby in your arms. We want your birthing partner to offer you some company, some gentle distraction, and just generally be there for you. They are your rock, they are your safe space, and we want them to be as involved as you wish them to be. Obviously, some people don't want to be really involved. That's fine. Sometimes we get dads just sort of in the corner of the room, not really sure what's going on. That's fine if that's what works for you guys. But if they do want to be involved, they do want to be sort of more heavily involved and in more of the forefront of things. Again, that's absolutely fine as long as it's safe for your mum and it's safe for baby. So hopefully that's helped to sort of give you a bit of an understanding of the role of the birthing partner. Like I said, everybody is different and your priorities will be different to, your friend or your sister or your mum. It's all about working out what you want or how you want your birthing partner to be when you're in labour, the kind of support that you would like them to provide for you. And again, this is very fluid. Things can change. You are allowed to say, actually, I've written that on my birthing plan, but I don't really feel what I want that anymore. I would prefer to do X, Y, and Z. That's absolutely fine. Nothing is ever set in stone. We are led by you guys. Now, I said that maternity is quite a fast-paced environment, and it is. I just want to quickly point out as well, we won't even touch you without your permission. You guys are in the driver's seat. We will advise you on certain things, but ultimately everything is your decision. We never want anybody to feel coerced or pressurized into doing something that they didn't feel comfortable with. So it really is about doing lots of research. Don't let today just be the only antenatal education that you get. Okay, go and sort of build on what we talk about today. Go and do some reading, speak to friends, speak to family. What we would advise not doing though is getting your information from social media. Places like TikTok and Instagram, we know people are posting things on there, and as helpful as maybe they think they're being, actually it's very subjective. These are not healthcare professionals providing information, and usually it's not the gold standard care or advice that they are actually giving. So please make sure you are sourcing your information from the reliable and reputable sources, so you know you are getting gold standard information, and that's going to help again to keep mum and baby safe. Okay. Now, also just one more thing about the birthing partner. We don't provide food for our birthing partners, so do make sure they're bringing in snacks for themselves. Even make like a little hospital bag for yourselves, with like a change of clothes in there. You might want some sprays, you might want some snacks. That's absolutely fine. You can bring those things with you. That's no problem at all. We also don't have beds for our birthing partners, so if you're planning on sleeping over, it would be a case of sleeping in the chair next to the bed. Unfortunately, like I said, we don't have beds for birthing partners, so just to give you a little bit of a heads up on that one as well. So I talk a lot, as you can probably tell, and obviously we want to talk through the stages of labour. I have a video here from a midwife. Her name is Marley. So she is a professional, a practicing midwife. So this is reputable information and a source here. But basically, I'm going to let her explain the stages of labour. I will obviously touch on it as well after the video, but it's going to just basically help to condense it so we don't go off on a tangent. This video can sometimes be quiet. I will do my best to put the captions on. Sometimes it doesn't work, but I will try and turn it up as loud as I can. So just try and listen if you can. Look, again, if there is any questions as she talks through the stages of labour, do feel free to pop them into the chat. And as I said, I will wrap it up at the end and after the video and just sort of break down what she's talked about as well. So there will be opportunity for questions if you have them after the video. Okay, here we go. There we go. So, like I said, she is a practicing midwife, so we do know that she's giving good information. But in a nutshell, that is what happens during those stages of labour. So, just to wrap that up a little bit, then, and just to just delve back into it a little bit more. So, labour we split into 3 different stages. First, second, and third stages of labour. The first stage of labour is basically when the cervix starts to open up. So the cervix is the exit of the womb, okay? It will start to open up, otherwise known as dilate, until it reaches around 10 centimetres, okay? So once your cervix is 4 centimetres, that's when you will class as being in established labour, and then it will dilate or open up to 10 centimetres. That's your first stage done. Second stage is the birthing stage, the pushing stage. It's the bit that people focus on the most because you're birthing a baby. But this is essentially what happens. So once your cervix has reached that 10 centimetres, we will automatically go into the second stage of labour. Your body will start to bear down. You will have involuntary urges, which that means your body will just start to push. You will not be able to control it. And then you will birth your baby. The midwives, obviously, we are there. We will coach you through this. Don't panic about it. We know people do, but please don't panic about it. Once the baby is born, is earthside, your second stage is then complete. And then your body will naturally move into the third stage of labour. And that's when you need to birth the placenta. Now, like Marley said, the placenta is not like a baby. There are no bones in there. It's soft, it's squishy. And actually, once the placenta is expelled, you've birthed the placenta, the contractions will stop. And everything is really good. You'll get your tea and your toast, and the process is then complete, okay? Now, the placenta, it is a pregnancy organ. It's really important it comes out. As she mentioned, if it doesn't come out, you will be at risk of hemorrhaging, so bleeding out after you've had your baby. And also infection, because anything that's left behind will start to rot, okay? So you will develop an infection because that left behind tissue will cause you to develop an infection, okay? And that's why it's really important that it comes out. Now, when it does come out, you can technically do with that whatever you want, okay? It is your human tissue. So if you wanted to take it home with you, you're welcome to take it home with you. Just make sure you bring in like a Tupperware box with a lid because they can get quite messy. Now, the majority of people, they leave it with us. We bag them up into special bags and then we transport them to our mortuary where they are incinerated, kind of like a cremation, because it is human tissue. There are policies and there are legalities around that. So we don't just throw them in the bin for the bin man to collect on a Monday morning. We don't, contrary to popular belief that I've seen on TikTok, we don't sell them to the black market, okay? They are disposed of respectfully and legally. There is lots of paperwork involved there. And that's what happens to your placenta. But like I said, some people do like to take them home with them. That's absolutely fine if you want to bring in some Tupperware or something, like I said, with a lid. Some people, you might be thinking, why would you want to take that home? Some people like to plant them and put like a rose bush or something over it. They believe that the placenta helps to nourish the earth. There are different cultural beliefs with surrounding placentas. And also some people like to think that there are nutritional value. There's nutritional value within the placenta itself. Some people like to cook it and they like to eat it. Some people like to hire private companies and they freeze dry it and make them into capsules. These are all things that we don't offer on the NHS. That would be something you would need to, like I said, outsource in a private company. But that's essentially why people tend to like to take them home. But like I said, if you want to leave your placenta with us, we will dispose of it properly and respectfully. Now, we do get asked quite a lot what happens when my waters break. Just to point out, when your waters break, same as when the umbilical cord is cut, it's not painful. There are no nerve endings in the umbilical cord and there are no nerve endings in the amniotic sac, so the balloon that baby is floating around in. Okay, so it's not painful when your waters break or when the umbilical cord is cut. Now, your waters can break really at any point. They can break before you go into labour, they can break whilst you are in labour, and sometimes babies are actually born in the sac itself. They're born in the amniotic sac still, which is always quite exciting to see. And there is no right and there is no wrong. We can't predict what's going to happen. And like I said, everybody is different. Every pregnancy is different. So yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. But if you suspect that your waters have broken and you are not in labour, we want you to put a big thick maternity pad on. And a bonus, phone triage. Think of the acronym COAT. We're going to ask you a series of questions. So think about these things. So C, colour of the fluid. What colour is it? If it's your amniotic fluid, so the fluid that the baby is floating around in, it will either be clear or it might be like a very light straw colour. It should not be brown, it should not be pink, it should not have bits floating around in it, it should not be green. This is a sign that baby has potentially had a poo inside of you, or it could be a sign of bleeding, which is a big no-no, okay? So please keep an eye on the colour. Oh, odour. What does it smell like? If it's your amniotic fluid, it will smell or should smell either of absolutely nothing, like you're smelling like a glass of water, or it might smell slightly sweet. Until you smell it, it's quite difficult to explain that. But if yours smells sweet, you'll understand what I'm talking about when you smell it. It should not smell offensive or a little bit pongy, a bit, what is that? If it does smell a bit off, that is potentially a sign of an infection. Okay, so we would like to know, what does it smell like? A, the amount. How much is there? How much was there? Was there a lot? Was there a little bit? Is there still some coming out, or has it completely stopped coming out? Is that pad dry? What's going on there? If it's your amniotic fluid, it will continue to come out. Every time your baby moves, essentially they're acting like a bit of a plug. When your waters break, there's basically a hole in the sac. Okay, there's a little hole made in that sac. And like I said, your baby will act like a bit of a plug. So they will essentially, like a limb or something, might just sort of plug up that hole. Every time they move, a little bit of water will come out, okay? And actually, when babies are born, they tend to be born with a bit of water, like a gush of water behind them, because it surrounds them. It's not just in one part, in one little pocket, okay? So once your waters break, we expect the pad that you put in your underwear will start to fill up with that water. And after an hour or so, you'll find that actually you can probably wring it out and it will be sopping wet. But for some women, especially towards the end of pregnancy, as baby's getting bigger, your pelvic floor is becoming a little bit more temperamental, let's say, it's not uncommon for some people to actually wet themselves, to urinate without realizing they have done so, because of the pressure of baby on the bladder, on the pelvic floor. This is, like I said, it's not uncommon. Also, different like hormonal changes can cause a change in discharge, which sometimes can appear more watery, increase in the amount even, and actually sometimes people can get confused and think, oh, could this be my waters or not? That's fine, it's really common. Don't be embarrassed if that is the case. Please to get it checked out. Put the pad on and keep an eye on the amount that's coming out, okay? If you have wet yourself or it is a change in your hormones, potentially, essentially that pad after an hour should be dry or relatively dry, okay? So that's the difference between the two with regard to the amount. And then T, make a note of the time that it happened. If you don't know what time it happened, say for example you wake up in the middle of the night, you sit up and you think, hold on a minute, why am I sat in a pool of water? Just make a note of the time that you noticed there was a change. Okay, reason being, when the waters are intact, so they're not broken, that sac that they are in is a closed circuit. Okay, it's a sterile environment for your baby. Nothing can get up there. No bacteria or germs can actually get up there to cause or essentially cause an infection. When the waters are broken, that sterile circuit is now broken as well. Okay, that it's no longer sterile in there. So actually, infections are able now to develop. So for that reason, we do not like your waters to be broken for too long. What we would essentially or usually do is, upon confirmation of your waters being broken, we would invite you back then 24 hours later, if you have not yet gone into labour, for an induction of labour. The reason being, like I said, is to help to reduce that risk of infection. Now, you are within your rights to refuse that induction of labour. It is, again, your choice. This is usually just a recommendation. What I would say is, if you do come into the hospital for assessment with regards to your waters breaking, please bring your hospital bag in with you, because there is a chance you might not go home until your baby is born. Depends on what's going on, what's occurred during your pregnancy, and sort of how safe or how comfortable the team feels leaving you with your waters broken without any intervention. It might be that we have to look at it on a sort of a personalised basis to assess whether we would think, actually, is it a good idea to offer induction of labour right now upon confirmation of your waters breaking, or are we okay to leave it at that 24 hours? Everybody is different. It's not a one size fits all. It is a personalised thing that we have to check out with everybody on an individual basis. But it is a conversation to have with your caregivers. If your waters are confirmed as being broken, we do offer you an induction of labour. You don't feel comfortable with that, please, like I said, speak up, speak to your team, and let them work with you to develop a plan that works for you guys and for the team and for the baby, okay, to keep everybody safe. Now, if you are phone in triage, and we're not answering the phone, please don't be disheartened. It's not that we're not there, it's just that we're really busy, okay? And we are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So including weekends, including holidays, including bank holidays, we are always going to be there. It's just that we're busy if we're not answering the phone. If you think or you know you need to be seen, just make your way on in. Obviously, it's nice for us to know that you're on your way in. Sometimes we can actually save you a visit if we can assess you over the phone. But if you're pretty sure, actually, I need to be seen or I want to be seen, just make your way in, especially if we're not answering the phone. Don't sit at home and worry about things. Just make your way in if you think you need to be seen. Now, thinking about different types of positions, how we can help during labour. Ideally, we want you to be sort of upright, okay? We want gravity to help. Gravity will be your best friend. There is a misconception that people believe midwives want you to be on your back, feet in the air when you're birthing your baby. Actually, that's not going to help you. It's not going to help you with regards to gravity. If you can be upright, so using like a birthing ball or manipulating the hospital beds, that's going to help you. If you can keep your hips below your shoulders, this is going to help you, okay? The video here is only a couple of minutes long, but it's going to just give you a little bit more of an insight into typical birthing positions and what you can do at home and in the hospital, positions that you can adapt during labour to help that process as well. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so as she said, we would recommend practicing these birthing positions now whilst you are pregnant and getting your birthing partners involved as well. So they can step in if they feel that you need some extra support as well. You can work together with this. The beds, like I said, they are electric, so we can manipulate those beds. So say, for example, you do have like an epidural, for example, okay, which means that you will be limited with regards to your mobility. If you do feel comfortable or strong enough, sometimes we can actually lower the bottom of the bed to get you in like a throne-like position, like a seated position. Again, that your hips will be lower than your shoulders. I've actually had a woman in labour before where she's felt strong enough to actually flip herself over on the bed. We've raised the back of the bed up and she's draped herself, sort of been kneeling over the back of the bed while she's had an epidural, obviously with the support of her birthing partners. Again, it is an individual sort of personal play-by-play basis. Again, it's not a one rule fits all. It's about how you feel in the moment, okay? But like I said, get your birthing partners involved, practice birthing positions now. We have birthing balls in the hospital. You don't need to bring anything in with you. We have them upstairs in the antenatal ward. We also have them in all of our rooms on labour ward. We also have them on Lucina too. So don't worry about blowing up and bringing your massive birthing ball in with you. We have those that you can use in the hospital, okay? But like I said, do have a look into birthing positions, have a little practice. Now, as your bump gets bigger, baby grows, bump gets bigger, your centre of gravity will change as well. So if you are practicing things like your birthing positions, just be really careful. Don't do anything that's going to harm you, okay? Don't overexert yourself. Please, feet on a firm, flat surface, even ideally good footwear, and listen to your body. If it's not happy with something, then just stop, okay? Your body will naturally go into positions that it feels most comfortable when you're in labour, but sometimes it's just nice to have a little bit of an understanding of what you find comfortable now, whilst you are still pregnant, rather than being in the throes of labour and then sort of panicking because you're not quite sure what position sort of you want to get into. Okay, so that's the advice anyway. So after you've had your baby, what happens? If you are on Lucina, we tend to try to discharge you home from Lucina Birth Centre. So you would ideally stay in the same room. If the birth centre was really busy, or if you're on labour ward, or if you're in theatre, we would take you upstairs to Ward 25, which is our postnatal ward. Now, we have our own private lifts, so we don't go through the main hospital. Don't panic about seeing your next door neighbour or colleague, or your nan might be lingering around waiting to have a little glimpse at the newborn baby. We go through our own private lifts that take us directly from labour ward upstairs onto the antenatal ward. At the end of the antenatal ward, Ward 24, there is Ward 25. Okay, so we will wheel you up there. So Ward 25 consists of 6 bays, okay? A bay is basically a large room, and in that bay there are 4 beds. The beds are then separated by using some curtains, so that is, use for privacy. You've got some curtains that you can put around the bed if you wish. There are also 6 side rooms. They are ensuite rooms themselves, and we have 4 family rooms, and they are situated slightly off of the ward. The family rooms we keep available for families who may be separated from their baby. Say, for example, their baby may be in the neonatal unit, and they may have essentially been transferred, out into a different unit. And then also our bereaved families, it's just not appropriate for those families to be on the ward with the other parents and their little ones. The side rooms we allocate based on clinical need. So it depends what's going on there. If we anticipate you having a longer stay with us, say for example, little one is showing us signs that they have jaundice, or if mum or baby is showing us signs that they have an infection and we're waiting for results, things like that. Various different reasons why we might anticipate you staying with us a little bit longer than the usual one night in hospital. That would then obviously influence whether we would recommend a side room or not. If you are in a side room, you are allocated a side room, just please bear in mind, if we have to ask you to actually vacate that side room and go into a bay, please don't be annoyed or angry with us. It just means that somebody else has come in that needs that room more than you do. Okay, so it is a play-by-play basis. We have to, it's like we have to weigh everything up, basically. The bays, so the rooms with the 4 beds in, they all have a shared bathroom within that bay, and those bathrooms are just for our mums. Okay, our birthing partners will need to use the facilities off of the ward. We will orientate you all to the ward upon your arrival anyway, so you sort of know where everything is. But just for obvious reasons, the bathrooms are just for our mums within the bays themselves. So your birthing partner can stay with you, as you already know, for 24 hours a day. So upstairs on the ward, you can have one birthing partner, and they can stay with you, like I said, overnight if they want to. Again, we don't provide food for birthing partners, and again, we don't provide beds for our birthing partners. So they will need to sleep in a really comfortable, hopefully they get a recliner, but it is a bit of a lucky dip, but it's a chair next to the bed, okay? For everybody else, they can come and visit between 7 and 8 p.m. So we have 1 hour in the evening that your visitors can come and see you, should you wish to have any more people coming onto the ward to see you after you've had your little one. We have that 1 hour, we keep it to that 1 hour to basically like provide some protected time. We want to reduce the traffic that comes through the postnatal ward. Obviously, we've got new mums and babies on the ward there. A lot of the time, the ladies will be establishing breastfeeding, resting after birth. You will be bleeding. You will likely be in a bit of pain, and you will be tired as well. You will need to get your rest. The last thing we believe anybody really needs is a constant stream of visitors coming through and interrupting that time. So we like to give you the protected time with the 1 hour visiting, so that should your friends and family want to come and see you, that's fine, but let's just keep it between that 1 hour. Also, just being mindful of the other ladies on the ward as well. So if you've got sort of 20 people come to visit you, all day, and you've got other people in the bay and they're trying to rest, it's just not fair. So we need to try and keep this as fair as possible. So that's why we give you that 1 hour. Now, if you have other children, they are more than welcome to come and visit you. We don't permit any of the children onto the ward though. So if you do have friends and family coming to see you and they have children with them, unfortunately, we will have to ask those children to wait outside on the ward. So obviously, they would your friends and family would have to take it in turns to come and see you in the bay itself. We also ask that there are no more than 2 visits per bed space. Again, the rooms aren't the biggest, the bed spaces aren't the biggest, and it's just about being mindful and considerate of everybody else on the ward and within those bays if you are in a shared bay. Now, Birth and partners we don't provide food for, but obviously we do provide food for our mums. As you can see on the screen there's breakfast, lunch and dinner. You also will have access to a trolley 24 hours a day. On the trolley there is hot drinks, cold drinks, there's biscuit slices, there's cake slices, really nice cake slices, and there's also fruit. You can access that as much as you want, whenever you want. We also will do a walk around daily where we will come into the bays and we will actually offer you drinks and snacks at the bedside as well. But if you want to help yourself, we will orientate you to that trolley upon your arrival, and then you can fill your boots, enjoy yourselves with the trolley there. Okay, so thinking about what to bring into the hospital with you. Now, again, you can get these lists. You can find these online. If you want to sort of have a printable list, or if you want to take a photo of this one, please feel free to do so. But this is essentially what we would recommend with regards to packing your hospital bag. What I want to point out on here is the chargers. So we don't have surplus chargers on the ward. You need to bring in your chargers for your smart devices. You will have access to a double socket at the bed space, so you can charge your phone, or if you're bringing a tablet, stuff like that. That's absolutely fine, but you need to bring those chargers in with you. We don't have any that we can lend out on the ward. Also, just to quickly point out, headphones. We would recommend bringing in some headphones if you are going to be using devices. We want to be mindful of, like I said, the other people in the bay and on the ward. We have had complaints before overnight where women have been watching programs or even on their phones really loud until the early hours of the morning. It's just, we need to be considerate of other people. So if you are going to be using things like your smart devices, tablets, watching, whatever, please bring in headphones with you. So if you are then using them in the quieter periods of the day, then you can use them comfortably without disturbing other people. Okay, baby milk. If you are not sure what you're going to do with regards to feeding, or if you know you're going to formula feed your baby, please bring in some starter packs of milk. Okay, these are small, around 70ml, pre-made formula bottles with pre-sterilized, individually packaged teats. You can get these from any supermarket. They're all essentially the same with regards to branding. It's about making your own mind up which brand you want to choose. But down any supermarket, down any baby aisle, you will find starter packs of milk. What we don't want you to do is bring in the big bottles of milk. So we're thinking like the 500ml bottles, even the 200ml bottles. When your baby is newborn, their tummies are tiny, okay? They will take around 15ml, if that, a feed. So if you're bringing in a litre bottle or a 200ml bottle, even a 500ml bottle, even like a 100ml bottle, and you're taking like sort of a feed out for your baby, and they then don't drink all of the milk, okay, within 1 hour, if that milk is not been drank, it needs to be refrigerated. If it's not refrigerated, it needs to be thrown away. We don't have the facilities on the ward to refrigerate that milk for you. So essentially, any pre-made formula that you make, whatever's left behind, needs to be thrown away after the hour, okay? If you've got a 500ml bottle or a litre bottle, that is a lot of waste, okay? Even a 70ml bottle from like the starter packs, you're going to have some waste. The baby's not going to drink the whole thing, but it's going to be significantly less than if you were to be using like the 200ml bottles, the 500ml bottles, the litre bottles, okay? And people get upset. We understand. These things, they cost money. They're not cheap. And actually, it's a lot of waste. So if you can bring in the starter packs, that's going to be much more better for you guys and for the economy as well, for your back pocket. Then also, if you are going to take your baby home in the car, and most people do, we need you to bring in a car seat. It is illegal for your baby to go home on your lap. Okay, you're not allowed to take your baby home on your lap. It is actually illegal. So please bring in a car seat. Make sure the car seat has the newborn insert, like you can see in the picture, to keep your little one safe. We would recommend getting a doll, getting a teddy, something like that, and actually practicing strapping them in, because it can be really tricky. Those harnesses can be a nightmare, especially like in the heat when you're feeling flustered, you're tired, sleep deprivation is real, you've just had a baby, so you'll be in a bit of pain, you just want to get home. The last thing you want to do is be faffing around with the harness, trying to figure out how to strap the baby into the car seat. So would definitely recommend practicing that now before baby's born, and also practice getting the car seat into the car for the same reason. We think about strapping the baby in, but also you need to strap the car seat into the car, and that in itself can also be a challenge. So try to get to grips with it before a baby's born, so you're a dab hand at it, smooth sailing by the time baby's here. Now, we will also check the baby is in the car seat correctly before you go. If you are struggling, just ask for some assistance. We will support you with that, and together we will figure it out. So once you go home then, usually, hopefully, the following day after discharge, we will come and see you at home, okay? When you've had your baby, usually it's just one night in hospital, unless there's any other complications, okay? So the day after then you go home, we will then come see you at home. The community midwife will come and see you at home. This is called a primary visit, the first visit. And as you can see on the screen here, this is kind of what occurs during those visits. Tends to be the general schedule with regards to your community midwife visits. So day one, primary visit, primary visit, day after discharge, where we will do a full postnatal check on mum and baby. So basically that's checking that you guys are okay. It's asking how your first night was after being home, asking how your pain is, how your bleeding is, have you had any stitches, would you like us to check your stitches? You can say no if you don't want us to check your stitches, that's absolutely fine. Looking out for signs of infections, looking out for signs of blood clots. We will check baby is okay. We will look at their colour, look at the umbilical cord, again looking out for signs of infection, just generally making sure everything's hunky-dory. We will then give some home information. So we will talk about safe sleep guidelines. I'm going to talk to you about that in just a second anyway. And we will want to see where baby's sleeping as well. Okay, we'll also ask you how the feeding is going, like how many wet and dirty nappies baby's had, if you're breastfeeding, how that's going, if you're bottle feeding, how many bottles baby's fed over the last 24 hours. Okay, that is a general postnatal visit, the first one. We will then go away. We will let you know when we are coming back. So we will usually come back on day 5. So day 5, we do that all over again, but this time we also will weigh your baby. Now, we expect your baby to lose a small amount of weight in those first few days. It tends to be water weight. After day 5 or so, we expect their weight then to pick up. So if the midwife is not concerned with the baby's weight loss, please don't be worried about it, okay? If we are concerned about the weight loss, then we will refer you into Children's A&E for assessment, okay? But it is normal for babies to lose a small amount of weight in those first few days. You haven't done anything wrong. It's normal thing to happen, okay? So don't panic. If we're not worried, please don't be worried. We will then also offer the Hill Prick test, so the newborn blood spot screening test. And this is where we take a sample of blood, so 4 spots of blood on a special bit of card, and we send that card off to the labs over in Birmingham where they are processed. And we are looking out for 9 different metabolic disorders, all to basically do with how your baby processes the proteins in their milk. We also check for hypothyroidism and sickle cell and thalassemia. Okay, these are all conditions that can be quite serious, but they are actually all treatable. So we offer this test to all babies at day 5. So should the little one be affected by any of these things, it allows those proteins to build up in their blood so they are then identifiable. Then we can then commence treatment or advise and offer treatment. We will ask you for the most appropriate contact telephone number for yourselves. It's really important that you do give us the actual correct contact details for yourselves, because if there is an issue with that sample, the labs will contact you directly within 24 hours. If you don't hear anything, usually you'll get a letter in the post within a couple of weeks telling you that everything's been fine for your own peace of mind. Okay, we will then also do another feeding update. And then that's that one all done. And then the third visit tends to be around 2 weeks postnatal. Sometimes it's at home, and sometimes we will invite you to a local family hub, but we do postnatal clinics. And this is where we again will do everything, check baby over, check the colour, check the cord, check their weight. If if their weight is back up to their birth weight or above their birth weight at this point, and the umbilical cord has come off, okay, clean and dry, we would then look to discharge you from maternity care. Within those first 2 weeks after birth, the health visitor should have been in contact with yourselves. So what happens when we discharge you is they step in and take over things to do with babies. So they will advise you of weighing clinics, vaccination schedules, all those sorts of things. And anything medical, the GP takes over, okay? So it's important that you register baby's birth and you register them with the GP, okay? Now, when we send you home from hospital, we will give you a discharge pack. So don't panic too much, because this is a lot of information. I fully appreciate that. But we will give you a discharge pack. In the pack, it includes all of this information anyway. It will include how to register baby's birth, where to do it, how you make that appointment. And it will talk also and give you information also with regards to safe sleep guidelines, what to expect when you go home, etc., etc., etc. Please do look at that discharge pack. It's got lots of information in there, including telephone numbers to the hospital and the different departments within the hospital. Okay. Now, I said we will always let you know when we're going to come and see you at home. But if you have, it's got to sort of 3 o'clock and you have not received either a telephone call or you have not actually had a visit, please phone us to let us know. We have to physically go onto a calendar to input your details for your visits. If, for example, the midwife's laptop has run out of battery or her VPN has dropped out or she's just forgotten to do it because she's been really busy, human error does occur and it might be that we've missed your visit. Okay, so if you are expecting a visit, you've not had any communication or a visit by around 3 p.m, 4 p.m, give us a call so we can then send somebody out to you ASAP. If we are not answering the community office phone, which sometimes that happens, then if you phone Ward 25, the postnatal ward, there's always somebody on there, and then they will then obviously signpost the information to the most appropriate professional, and like I said, get somebody out to see you or rearrange that and let you know. Okay, so that's what we do with regards to community visits. Quite straightforward. Now, I mentioned registering baby's birth. Registering baby's birth, you have 6 weeks to do that. Okay, 6 weeks to register their birth, so 42 days. As long as baby's been born, you can actually make that appointment. Okay, you just need to usually go onto the website and then it will come up with a list of appointments. You can choose whichever one works for you. We used to just do them in the registration, sorry, of birth in the city centre, in the middle of town, the registry office. But now Mosaic Family Hub and Moat Family Hub also have registrars that come into the hubs themselves, and they also are doing appointments there. So I think you get like some Tuesdays, some Fridays. There's much more variety now than there was a few years ago. So hopefully you'll find an appointment that works for you. Now, if you are married, only one of you technically needs to go. Even the baby doesn't technically need to go. Okay, so if, for example, you might have had a cesarean section and you think, I don't really fancy going out to do this, your partner is welcome to take the baby or just go by themselves to register baby's birth if you are married. If you are not married, this is very old-fashioned. If you're not married and you want dad on the birth certificate, then you both need to go. Okay, it is a bit frustrating. Completely and fully appreciate that. But unfortunately, that is how the rules at the moment. So if you're married, only one of you needs to go. If you're not married and you want dad on the birth certificate, then you both need to go. Okay. So I've got a couple more videos to show you. Now, one of these videos, for some reason, doesn't work on this presentation, but it does work on the hyperlinks that I've sent you in that email. So I think it's the bathing one. I'll double check in a second. But at this point, I want you, after the session, or if you're watching this as the pre-recorded session, then go onto the document and click onto the hyperlink with regards to bathing and cord care. But I'm going to show you, hopefully show you the videos anyway, live here, or whichever one is working. I think it's the nappy change works, but the bathing one doesn't work actually in real time for some reason. But like I said, please do refer to that at the end of the session so you can see for yourself. But these are the recommendations with regards to, I'll just do cord care. With cord care, and like I said, then bathing is on the document too. So here we go. Let's just do cord care. Yeah, so as I said, we will always check the baby's umbilical cord anyway when we come to see you. Now, if you notice signs of infection and you told the midwives, we used to come and swab them. Well, actually, we don't do that now because actually it was just prolonging the treatment, getting treatment. We would take the swab back to the hospital. It would be sent to the labs. It would take like 2 or 3 days for it to come up with any results. Cut the midwives out now. Just take your baby to the GP if you do notice any signs of infection. A smelly cord is definitely like you might be thinking, well, what does it smell like? It's very obvious when a cord is infected. But again, if you are in any doubt, then just get little one checked out. Now, if little one is not registered to a GP and you do think they need to be seen in person, then just phone, explain the situation. The GP surgery will see your little one and do your registration as an emergency. But if you can get them registered as soon as possible, absolutely please do so. For some surgeries, it's literally a phone call. For some, it's you have to fill in paperwork. So just see what the deal is for your surgery, because it might be different to somebody else's. Okay, I'm gonna press play on this one just to see if it does work. But it wasn't before. Hold on. No, it's not. So please do, like I said, at the end of the session, or if you're watching this on the recorded session, please do check out the document that I've sent you. And there is a bathing baby hyperlink that will explain how we would recommend bathing your baby. So, the Lullaby Trust then, Safe Sleep Guidelines. For those of you that haven't heard of the Lullaby Trust, they are a company who specialise in keeping babies safe at home. What they try to do with their work and their research is reduce the risk of SIDS, which is otherwise known as sudden infant death syndrome. Now, it's not the nicest thing to think about, and it's definitely not the nicest thing to end our session on, but it is really important that we are talking about it and we are thinking about this. SIDS occurs for reasons that we still don't fully understand, but we do know there are things that we can do to help to reduce the risk. Okay, so the Lullaby Trust would recommend your baby sleeping in the same room as yourself for the first 6 months of life at minimum. We recommend that baby sleeps in their own safe space, on their back always, on a firm flat surface with their feet to the bottom of their sleeping aid. If you are worried about your baby's temperature, we would recommend using your hand, the back of your hand, on their chest or the back of their neck. This is where their blood circulates. This is a better indication or a true indication of their temperature. Please never go by their hands, their nose and their feet because they tend to always be cold. I don't know if you noticed that before, but their hands and their nose and feet, for children, even like small children, is the same. Check out the middle part of the body. That's where the blood is circulating, okay? Please never ever put your baby down to sleep when they have a hat on. Make sure you are removing any hats when they are sleeping, okay? In the hospital initially, we will put hats on babies, and that's to help reduce the risk of them sort of becoming too cold. In those first 24 hours of life, they are learning to sort of regulate their own temperature, but by the time you take your baby home, they should now be able to do so. Your baby will actually lose 10% of the body heat via their head. If they become too warm, that's what they will do. They will start to try to eject or get rid of that heat via their head because their head is the largest sort of surface area of their body. So around 10% of the body heat is expelled. Expelled, is that the right word? I don't know. Via their head. If your little one has got a hat on, they can't do that, okay? That's when things become quite dangerous. Babies that are too cold, they will wake up, they will tell you they are too cold. Babies that are too warm, they won't necessarily do that, okay? So please always make sure that your little one is not wearing a hat when they are sleeping. Please make sure that their sleeping area is always clear. No blankets, loose teddies, loose clothing, toys, things like that. A clear cot is a safe cot, okay? If you do have anything like that in there, make sure you're removing it when your little one is sleeping. And we would never ever recommend bed sharing with your little one, but especially if there has been any drinking alcohol, if there's been any substance misuse, and that doesn't have to be illicit drugs, that could literally be medication that can sort of make you drowsy. You might take pain relief that makes you drowsy. You might be a hay fever sufferer and take like Piriton, for example, that makes you drowsy, okay? Be mindful. And also, if you're really sleepy, please don't be tempted just to have a little 5 minutes on the sofa or just close your eyes for 5 minutes whilst you're breastfeeding the baby in the bed. These are all suffocation risks, and it's really important that you are aware of that. The consequences of not being aware of that are obviously, or can be, devastating. These are things that we can do to reduce that risk, okay? Now, the Lullaby Trust put together a lovely video. It's called The ABCs of Safe Sleep. It's not sad or scary or anything like that. It's got lovely music, but it's going to give you a few more tips and tricks with regards to safe sleep guidelines, to hopefully just give you a little bit more information. But like I said, we will talk to you about safe sleep guidelines before you go home. When we come to see you at home again, we will talk to you about those safe sleep guidelines. And when we discharge you from maternity care, the health visitor will also come and see you at home, and they will also talk to you about the safe sleep guidelines extensively. So don't think this is the only information you're going to get. You will get more. But I also would urge you to do your own research. Go onto their website, thelullabytrust.org.uk, and you can see all the information and things that they have on that website for yourselves. So this video, for some reason, tends to start halfway through, so I'll have to just rewind it back. But here's the next. There you go. So hopefully a few tips and tricks. But like I said, I would urge you to check out their website. Also check out our Facebook page as well, maternity services at UHCW, because we do post some stuff with regards from the Lullaby Trust on there as well. But like I said, do have a little look into what they've got going on and the research that they are doing continuously to help to keep babies safe at home. So, almost at the end now, guys. I just want to draw your attention here to the Real Birth Company. For those of you that aren't aware of the Real Birth Company, you might not even have heard of them. They are a company that we have been working with since 2024, 2023, 2023. Something, yeah, about 3 years now. And they basically provide the families under our care who are booked at UHCW with an antenatal online education program. Basically, it is a program made up of about 10 different modules, which all focus on different parts with regards to pregnancy, labour, birth, what happens afterwards, cesarean section, what happens when you go into labour prematurely, etc., 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 that you can work through at your own pace whenever you want for as long as you want for free of charge. We have paid for the programme so you guys don't have to. It's just another layer of antenatal education that we believe will help you guys feeling more empowered and making some good informed choices with regards to your care and your baby and your birth. All you have to do is scan the QR code there on the screen. If you are on your phone watching this, if you go onto the UHCW maternity website, scroll to the parent education part within the menu, and there is a hyperlink on there that will take you directly to the registration page. You just input your details. It will then take you to a dashboard where you can then personalize it. The good thing about that is it then makes it obviously personalized to you. So, for example, if you suffer with gestational diabetes, I use this as an example because I did, you click on that and it will then generate information with regards to gestational diabetes, and it will weave it throughout the whole program. So it's again more personalized to you and your pregnancy, which I think is really useful. It is also available in lots of different languages, so it's accessible to lots of people. So if English is not your first language, hopefully your first language will be on the platform. They're actually working to include loads more, introduce more languages. They've just actually released, I want to say Pakistani, or was it Bengali? They've just released a new language on there this week. So it's an ongoing project, but it is human translated. So you know it's legit. Okay. Like I said, you just scan the QR code on there and then you register your details, and then you can access that from any smart device whenever you want for as long as you want for free of charge. Okay, so thank you for joining me. We've come to the end. You'll be happy to know you did a really good job by sticking with me. My name, like I said, is Katie. That is my email address there on the screen. You are more than welcome to drop me an email should you have any questions, concerns, worries, anything at all. As I said, I do work clinically. I'm actually off to go work clinically in a minute. I'm here to support you. So if you do need anything, please let me know. Whether that's today, tomorrow, next week, next year, I'm always going to be available. Do check out our other classes on our Eventbrite. We have quite a few different bits and going on. My colleague Jazz, she also does infant feeding classes virtually on too. So if you want information with regards to feeding your baby, breastfeeding, what to do, please absolutely check out her classes. These are all free because they are NHS. And as I said, everything that we've got going on, you can access via our Eventbrite. We have come to an end. We've come to a close. Thank you for sticking with me, and congratulations and good luck in advance. If you see me, do say hello. I wish you all the best. We are looking forward to welcoming you into our hospital. You will be very well looked after. And if you have any questions at all, now, later, when you are in labour, after you've had your baby, never be scared to ask a question. There is no right, there is no wrong. We will do our best to make sure that you do feel supported. No, you are all more than welcome. Thanks so much. Thank you for allowing me to record this as well. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the sun. Bye.